a 4-digit project, because we're using a lot of stuff that we've got already. Varies enormously. Yep.
With that circuit board gadget that
Yep.
you passed around, that's something that you developed for a
a
company
specific
or
client. Yep.
Yep. If at the end of it you've produced it, it works, it does
Yep.
finds the problem
Yep.
to do with the rust and what have you, they decide not to go ahead with it. Can you use the idea? Like,
IP ownership is an interesting question. What we normally do with our clients is that our clients get an exclusive right to exploit the IP we develop for them. I always saying that is if they pay the bills, they own it. However, we retain, for our own purposes, a right to our ideas, our methods, and our capabilities. And in a couple of cases, I've approached clients who've decided not to make... one of the patents that's in my name is for an underground fault locator. This fault locator will pinpoint the exact spot that you have to dig with a backhoe to actually find a fault in telecommunications cable underground. The technology is world-beating technology. If they made this product, their difficulty would be keeping up with sales. So they decided not to make it because they didn't want their life to get too complicated.
wow.
So I approached them and asked them if I could license that technology to sell into effectively their competitors, but in that specific application only. The area they decided not to compete, if you like, but they didn't agree with that. So I generally walk down the line that we exist to make them successful, and our success comes in achieving that for them. Now, successful technically, I can't make them successful commercially. They have to do that for themselves. If they give me a spec and I deliver against that spec and nobody buys it because they got the market wrong,
Yep.
I can't help them with that one. I can just make sure that the engineering thing is right. Yep.
Ray, you said one of the key things that helped transform the business was marketing and promotions.
Yes.
So can you share with us what some of the marketing promotion activities that you undertook that were the most successful or for your business?
Well, the rebranding was the first point, because how you present yourself to other people will greatly influence how they perceive you. Now, obviously, if you present yourself as one thing and you're actually different, so you have to be what they have congruity. It has to be real, but effectively it's a case of putting your best foot forward. So branding is one thing that you should definitely get some help with, because you're going to suck at it. Unless you're a graphic designer or a marketing professional, you're going to suck at branding, so get some help with it. As an extremely intelligent engineer, I really sucked at branding. It's got nothing to do with your IQ, it's to do with your training, it's to do with your mindset, it's to do with how your brain is wired. Don't ask me to pick a colour coordinated outfit, because I'm much better with electrons than I am with colours. So different people are wired different ways. Use people in their field of expertise. Second thing is that we relaunched our website with an understanding now of how the internet actually worked, how SEO worked, and with some guesses, because you've got to start with your guess. You can't go to someone and say, well, tell me exactly what to do to get people flocking to my website, because they won't know either. So you've got to start with your best guess, and then you have to start to measure it. There's a tool called Google Analytics. It actually tells you who's come to your website, where they came from, how long they stayed, what they did, how many pages they rummaged through, that sort of stuff. We added a blog. If you want to use the internet to promote your business, put a blog on it. Even if you can't write the content yourself, a blog is basically ranked very highly by Google in terms of and the other search engines, because it's fresh content all the time, and every post, this is like writing letters to your customers, except they sit out there on your website for everybody to read, and you can have a different topic on each letter, so you can actually focus on different aspects of your business with each blog post, and people can be aware of all the things you do. I set up a profile on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a professional networking site. Think of it as Facebook for business. So LinkedIn is a place where you can present who you are as a person, and also the company profile of where you're at. We have a Facebook fan page, only because we really like the high Patreon incoming link to our main website, but it also presents us as credible. We have 2 Twitter accounts. We are now on Pinterest. So we're using that. So because this is all stuff that produces incoming links to your website. In terms of personal promotion, every time something happened, we contacted all the newspapers, and occasionally they ran a story. But occasionally is really good compared to never. We started all these awards that we won. We applied for every one of them. except for the Entrepreneur of the Year awards. They were given to me for the business coaching program. But every other award that we won, I personally put in an application for.
What do you tweet?
Very little. Primarily it's every one of our blog posts that go out gets automatically pushed out to Facebook, to LinkedIn and to Twitter. So once a week there's a piece of content I put out which is highly technically focused on the marketplace we're in, which is designed to position me as someone who's an expert in this area that people should take seriously. And that goes out to all of our channels automatically, so there's some automation in that. And every time I do any kind of dialogue or discussion on LinkedIn on any of the technical topics, that goes out automatically to Twitter as well. So it's all geek stuff.
Just that.
Yeah.
Perhaps a geek question.
Yep.
I was thinking too, if I could. On what basis do you detect the corrosion with that electronic device? Is it electrolytic based on?
Yeah, technically it's called galvanic voltages, but it's the same stuff that makes batteries work.
Yeah.
So if you've got some acid and it's in contact with some metals, it generates a voltage. Ideally, your metal pipes or your metal tanks will have paint or a corrosion protection on them, and there will be no metal contact with the soil or moisture. Once there is that metal contact, it develops that voltage. But it's not straightforward because you've got to detect that voltage in spite of what sunspot activities are doing, in spite of the fact that you have trains nearby, in spite of the fact that trams exist, because Melbourne has worse corrosion than any other city in Australia who's got trams. And so that they have DC voltages which actually drive this reaction in the soil. So there's a bit of maths behind it, but that's the basic technique.
Yep. And the second question is, when did you first start employment services of Mark?
August 2008.
And you're still with him?
Yes.
And the benefit of continuing to work with him?
There's no way I can learn everything I need to learn from Mark in 1 year. My brain just can't change its thinking that fast. And also, he's got more than one program. He has business mastery for brick and mortar business, internet mastery for people who primarily want to be internet centric. We've actually decided we want to learn both sides of that equation. Yep.
How many hours a week do you work?
At the moment it's 55 in that kind of. Last year was bad, but we're on. I go to the gym currently 4 times a week. So I go to the gym in the morning, work. I try to take evenings off.
What about when you first went to your new factory or your offices?
Yeah, look, that wasn't that bad, to be honest, because we didn't have that much business. And that's the dilemma, isn't it? Is you move into a bigger place and you suddenly realise you've got capacity, but you're not using it. When you're at home, it's amazing how one of the problems with home-based business, it's amazing how distracted you can be by all the stuff that happens at home and kids and children, all that kind of stuff. So it took us a little while to build up to the point where we were overloaded and we started getting contractors.
Do you employ staff?
Yes. Yeah, so we have 3 full-time staff. We have currently 2 contractors who are working for us. We have a work exchange student currently on, and we have several other businesses that we give work to. So we actually partner with other businesses who are specialists in what they do. The one thing I've learned is that I can't be all things to all men. I've got to be really good at what I do, and I've got to build around me the other pieces of the puzzle. So one of my goals for this year is to find more businesses that I can partner with and leverage off. Yep.
Ray, back on the marketing side of things again.
Yep.
Are you currently outsourcing the whole content marketing management side of things, or do you do all of that yourself?
I do most of that myself.
Okay.
At the moment. We do a little bit of outsourcing. So, for instance, market research and data analysis and data dredging type stuff. So, industry statistics. We're launching a humour site for engineering humour, and we're using a service called guru.com. So you can get people who are operating in lower cost economies than us. You actually give them useful things to do, dredging up information on the internet that you can spend hours sitting there doing yourself. So we're outsourcing that side of things. Jeanette actually puts our website together. I do most of the blogging myself. Occasionally I get snippets of stuff from other people that I put in. So that side of it is us. I think it'd be one of the things you have to do when you blog or you write or you communicate, you've got to find your own voice.
Yes.
It's really, really hard to get somebody else to have that same voice. So If you're constantly pulling things from other places but trying to pretend it's you, then that will eventually come across as fake. So when I get content that's from somewhere else, I say that it's from somewhere else.
When you had your business at home, was it internal or external?
It was internal. We had a large rumpus room across the back of the house. At one stage we had 5 people working in there.
What's the worst decision you've made?
I think the worst decision I've ever made from a business perspective was trusting a particular client and then finding out that our scumbag antennas were right. You've got to back your intuition sometimes. So that was difficult. I think the worst decision I made, if you want to take the whole framework, the worst decision I made was to think I could step out of my corporate environment with all the support services around me and step into a business and pull off the same thing. I think from a business perspective, that was a mistake because I didn't know how much all those support services around me actually delivered as part of the value equation I needed.
Right, well done. I think even better than I expected. I knew it was going to be great. How good is that? No, well done, Ray. Paul, we got a little gift for Ray down there. Was it red?
This
No,
one?
no.
Yeah.
He drank it.
I was going to take that one home.
He can resist.
Hang on. Give me that back too.
Thank you.
It's a little something I whipped up out of the bag.
Absolutely. This looks like world-class technology. You've done really well.
I had a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want a job?
Good choice. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
And once again, thank Karen. She's a marvel. Oh, you're there, Karen.
Now, I've left a batch of business cards here. If anybody wants to talk to me further or just to, exchange ideas or that, I'm happy to be interactive. Yeah, check out we have a wall of fame in our business now because we've actually got a wall full of either newspaper articles or award certificates. So it's one of the things that you have to do is you have to celebrate your successes. That'd be my other piece of advice. If you kick a goal, celebrate.
Well, I have sort of one question.
Yeah.
Given that this is a business networking event, how would we identify, what's the profile of typical profile of your client?
We have 3 typical profiles. So like most businesses, we don't have one demographic that buys our services. So we are either dealing with small Australian specialty or niche electronics manufacturers who've underinvested in their business probably for at least the last 10 years, have let most of their internal technical capability go, and their product, usually it's in the industrial markets, their product has had longevity, so they've been able to keep milking it for a long time. They've now got to the point where either input pressures or changes in domestic circumstances or new imports that are coming in mean that they've got to actually have a new version of this product or die. And so I was talking before to people about pain. There's 3 reasons why people change. Wisdom is the best one and the least likely. Pain is the second most likely thing that happens when you need to change, is that pain will actually give you the impetus needed. And so it's at the point of pain that they engage us. We are a grudge purchase. We're up there with petrol. People buy us because they'll die. They don't say, my God, I've got this wonderful idea. I've just got to pay someone to help me bring it to market. I don't care what it costs. We don't have customers like that. So we're in that sort of grudge purchase part of the cycle where people are only paying it because they've got to. The third change mechanism that you see at work is called don't change. Just go around the same loop and expect somehow along the next parcel will go better. We see a lot of that with our clients. So that's one group. We do have a small number of inventors who have a brand new idea and want to get it to market. And we have a couple of larger clients who don't have the internal technical resources anymore, and so they need a competent third party to actually help them. But they're the product specialists in that case. We're the technology experts putting, if you like, the wheels on their expertise in terms of the electronics. So they're the 3 groups we're working with in general.
Okay, moving right along. I have no idea what time it is.